What's up, card fighters, and welcome back to the Prime Vanguard channel. In today's video, we have a lot to look at as we just had our Bushiroad presentation for this following year. It's talking about more stuff going on with the new Cardfight Vanguard Deluxe anime, as well as all of our future sets to come out this year. Speaking of the anime, if you guys have not seen my very first reaction to it, go check that out. I just got done watching my reaction to episode 1 of Cardfight Vanguard Deluxe the day after it came out. It was extremely exciting to see these new characters, get an idea of the new journey going on, and check out some new cards that are going to come out. I'm super excited to watch the entirety of the series on this channel. I'll be reacting to it the same day that it comes out, but you guys gotta stay subscribed and tuned for that. Don't forget the notification bell as well, so you guys always feel my newest videos coming out, as we're going to be watching the entire series and keeping up with the news of the Vanguard world throughout the remainder of this year. Alright, you guys, so taking a look at set 8 and who's going to be the figurehead of it is going to be Suo and Blangdemeyer. Blangdemeyer is going to be receiving a powerful new form with the name of Walking Away from Zero Blangdemeyer Nexus. Now, there's been a lot of speculation on what this card is going to do, considering the fact that Blangdemeyer already is a very powerful Vanguard. It just received a new wave of support as well, with Bedrock getting some new early game stuff, already having one of the best attackers such as Zamoog and Evoke Alchemist for support. This deck has a lot of strong things going for it. My personal thoughts and feelings on Blangdemeyer getting a new form is that I think Blangdemeyer is still going to continue to focus on this strategy. If anything, I think Blangdemeyer is going to follow suit with cards like Levidress, Rezael, and Rakshasa. It's going to need the old Blangdemeyer for something, even retaining its divine skill. I don't think it's going to move away from that. While I do think it's going to either retain the divine skill and do something different to it, or be a card that has its own new divine skill, it's going to go in those two routes. It's either going to be a Blangdemeyer that works with the old one for a new strategy, or it's going to be a Blangdemeyer that is going to become completely separate from what the old Blangdemeyer is supposed to be, considering that the lore behind this card is the fact that it's supposed to be Blangdemeyer walking away from the path of nothingness. That's my idea behind it. I only see it going those two routes. Either become your own Vanguard like they did with Nirvana Jiva, or become Blangdemeyer's evolution form from its prior set that will still have some sort of cohesiveness with the Blangdemeyer support that we just got. Because Blangdemeyer is fairly new. I think we got this deck like last year, so with all the support that it's already came out with, the new Blangdemeyer naturally is going to have some synergy with the cards that already exist for it. I don't see them making a move like that for this deck, but if they do go that route, it will be interesting because the support that comes out with this card is going to have to be very strong for it to match the power of its other counterpart. Now that I've done discussing Blangdemeyer and glazing the hell out of this card, I want to talk about this. This is what I'm here for. Magnolia, Blangdemeyer, and Youthberry. Magnolia is finally getting a new form. Oh, thank goodness. I'm always happy when Magnolia receives support, but I'm happy that Magnolia is hopefully receiving a brand new grade 3 support for the Sylvan Horn Beast deck. I'm going to go more in depth into Magnolia right now, but I'm going to quickly discuss Youthberry and then, talk about one more thing with Blangdemeyer before I go back to him. Now, Youthberry rebuild, I know Godsman is really happy about this. I think that was like his favorite unit from this set, and I heard his thoughts on the card as well as moving forward to the future. The card is called Youthberry Skyfall Arms Rebuild. I am very curious to see where this deck goes because they just had their big pop-off unit with, what's his name? It's been a minute. Youthberry, it's Revolve something. Oh, Full Blast, that's what it was. They just had their full pop-off with Full Blast, and they just gave Youthberry, I believe, 2 to 3 new cards to support in the most recent set. And I think that with that being the case, I definitely see Youthberry, if anything, being its own separate deck compared to the old one. So this one is called being Youthberry Rebuild, focusing on Revolve naturally, because you have Youthberry support cards that just care about the Revolve ability as well, compared to just having Youthberry name. That's something important to note. I think that if anything, Youthberry Rebuild is going to be the new grade form of Youthberry that gives you the ability to probably search your deck out for key Youthberry pieces, and you can either add them to your hand or put them into the soul and then probably call something from like deck or drop zone. That's the route that I see it going. I see that this deck using Full Blast as like the epitome of the strategy because it is a card that relies on prior cards to make it work, and I don't see them entirely walking away from that. All the key support that Youthberry just got and all the support that it's been going to continue to get from what I've seen from the newest stuff has been still reliance on this strategy of getting more stuff into the soul to set up for Full Blast, and it is consistent. If you hit your pieces correctly and you are watching what you put into the soul, you might have one turn of delay before you go into Full Blast, but a good Youthberry player should be able to go to Full Blast on full turn if you set up properly. So the deck is consistent and it can pop off with Full Blast. Full Blast is a very powerful Vanguard. It's not a bad card at all. I just don't see them walking away from a strategy like that. If anything, I see them giving us a new Revoltress unit that makes us not want to focus completely on Youthberry Full Blast, but I don't see them walking away from it entirely. I do think that Rebuild, though, is going to be interesting because of the lore behind it. Youthberg is one of the decks that I have not personally gotten a lot of experience with outside of playing against it. But from what I've seen, this deck is a setup deck now, and it just needs to, with any setup deck, you just want it to move faster, but that's the route that I see them going. Now, that's all my thoughts on Youthberg. For Blademeyer, I think I pretty much said everything. This deck is going to go in the route of being an evolved form for Blademeyer or being its own deck. The only reason why I see that being the case for Blademeyer, once again, is because of the name of the card and the lore behind Blademeyer itself. If they choose to let that have some relevance towards card designing and deck building. Now that I've discussed those, we can finally talk about the card that I want to talk about. The card that I want to talk about is called, I don't even know what it's called. I was so hyped, I was moving so fast. Sylvan Beast Emperor Magnolia Patriarch. Now that is what the card is called. Now I have a lot of thoughts and ideas for this because I was recently asked a question in my 1400 subscriber Q&A on what do I think the new Magnolia needs and what it should get to move forward. I said they can move Magnolia in two different ways, where the first way is that it becomes a great supporting grade 3 that protects your rear guards and helps you set up to go into the grade 4 or the mass unit. Or they can do something entirely brand new with Magnolia to help maximize on your other Sylvan Beasts, their effects and their attacks. Now, the first thing that we're going to go ahead and get out the way, this new Magnolia has to allow you to attack with back row units. That's an automatic. Every Magnolia allows you to do that. So we automatically know that this new Patriarch is going to allow you to attack multiple times with units in your back row. I think the question is on what else is it going to do and how can it benefit the deck right now. Now, I want to look at the previous Sylvan Beast support for it because I think that actually matters in sort of the direction that Magnolia is going. So taking a look at the other Sylvan Beast cards, one of them that I was really thinking about was this new Rylon, which is Karis, as well as the new Lattice for this deck. Now, Lattice and Karis, in terms of ride line, these ride line cards are focused on consistency and improving the chances of you getting into your grade 4 Magnolia. These cards let you add an order to your hand, or they let you get a unit from your drop zone. That is great to me. And with cards like the new Magnolia support that we got, such as Bonsopti, as well as the other grade 2 or grade 1, Ilkenwin, these cards, again, focus on getting units onto the board or getting out to the order. The other generic support like Linksera and Masaria have been your offensive units that improve your power for your other rear guards to make your multi-attacks even better. I think Magnolia is going to continue to go this route. So we guaranteed have a Vanguard that's going to allow us attack from the back row. This new Magnolia is going to allow that, but I also think this new Magnolia is going to focus on board presence and providing some sort of protection because it's called Patriarch. This is literally letting us know that Magnolia is the Patriarch, the unit, the king, the pinnacle of what it means to be a Sylvan Beast. This deck, if it were to truly answer the problems that Magnolia has, would definitely do some sort of protection route that Bastion got. If you want to not have to deal with those control matchups as badly that Sylvan always has to deal with, then you go ahead and you play cards like this. And this is what it's going to do. You get protection, you get bodies onto the board, and you allow multi-attacks. That's what I think Magnolia is going to go the route of. I think it's going to provide small boosts of power, but also get protection and build up board. This way it becomes a self-sufficient Vanguard like the old Magnolias cannot do, and it makes itself better. The only unit that did this was Magnolia Grade 4 because it turned all of your back row units into offensive units and defensive units, while also when you put a new one on there, you get to call a new unit from Solar Drop Zone. Grade 4 was fantastic at that because it gave you new units. It was just a grade 4, so it was slow. Magnolia Calamity, however, needed setup. That unit gave you a control effect and gave you high power multi-attacks because of the Dragon Tree markers and the setup from your other cards. I think that with the new support from the other mass decks, because we are getting mass support as well with Dragon Tree markers, that this Magnolia is probably not going to go the route of helping me setting up for either of those. I think it's going to be an individual unit. I definitely see this Magnolia saying something like Act, Vanguard Circle, Counterblast 1, or Energy Blast 3, call up to 2 Sylvan Beast units from your drop zone to rearguard circle. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, call up to 3 of them or less. When this unit attacks, like auto, CB, something, choose up to 3 of your units in the back row. Those units can attack from the back row and then like give them auto or something. I see Magnolia going this route because of the direction the deck is going with its prior support. The new support like Masaria and Linrix, these cards use energy to apply their effects. So it's very clear that we are getting some sort of like energy benefit for this deck. We already have our own form of resource management in Sylvan Beast in form of the grade 2. I can't remember its name right now. Applin, something like that. That gives you counter charge, soul charge. That card is very fantastic. Yeah, Magnolia just has so much potential. But the only thing that we can't confirm is the fact that this Magnolia is going to allow back row attacks because of how Sylvan Beast work. Leonore and Drawjeweled are also going to come out in this master deck set. Essentially speaking, these are like 2 structure decks for like new players, which is crazy. So we'll probably get like 1 or 2 like gimmicky cards for it, for Leonore or Drawjeweled. I don't know if we'll get this in English, but if we do, that'd be interesting. We got an interesting new card as well called Hellfire Dragon, Whirlpool Dragon. Now, this unit is supposed to be the standard, like, future variation of Vortex Dragon, and it definitely, you know, checks out. I thought this was Vortex Dragon coming back as an encounter unit when I first saw it, but apparently this is like the boss unit for one of the characters in the New Deer Days, which will be coming out very soon this year, and this is what the Vanguard does. Now, it's got a lot of effects. I see a lot of energy text here. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hellfire Dragon, Wild Dragon has 3 abilities on the Vanguard Circle, which state Auto Vanguard Circle at the beginning of your main phase, Energy Charge 3. Act Vanguard Circle, cost Energy Blast 3. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. If you did not retire a card, this unit gets power plus 5,000 to the end of the turn. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, it gets power plus 10,000 instead of 5,000. Auto Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, at the end of the battle, this unit attack. If you Energy Blast 6 or more cards in total for the cost of this unit's ability this turn, cost Counterblast 1, stand this unit, and it gets Drive -2 until the end of turn. Then cost Soul Blast 1 card with the same name as this unit, and this unit gets Drive +1 until the end of the turn. Now, as a Vanguard for Dragon Empire at this point, this is actually, you know, pretty nice. It's pretty strong. Once again, Dragonic Overlord gets cucked by another unit within its nation. The retire effect I think is huge because control is actually an aspect of the game right now I don't think a lot of people understand has some value and some impact. It's always going to be a big deal when you clear someone's board and you are able to, you know, force them to commit more cards for not just defending, in this case because your Vanguard is restanding, but also making a board. If you don't get to make a board, you at least get power onto this card, and assuming that you can use this effect twice, you're going to acquire 20,000 power onto it. So this unit will be 33k prior to Persona, and if you go Persona, and you don't, once again, you don't have to retire, you go 43k, and then on the second attack, it'll be 1 drive. On the first attack, it's 2 drives, and this card doesn't cost any discards. So, not a bad Vanguard at all in terms of, you know, generically speaking. It's pretty good. Automatically, all of the restanding Vanguard cards will be great for this deck. The grade 1 lets you restand, draw a card. That card will be pretty good for this deck. This unit will have the power to clear the board, so any of your low rearguard units will be good for this deck. The Vanguard itself uses Counterblast and Soul Blast, but then rebuilds back your energy, so you hopefully don't have to focus on playing a lot of resource management pieces for it. It is a setup card, and it is essentially, in my personal opinion, a weaker Varga, because that's the vibe that it's giving. It does require you to play Soul Blast copies. Hell, Tencha's Dead might have found its deck, and Tencha's Dead might have found it to be relevant again, because this is definitely a deck where you want to find that Persona Ride copy, you want to guarantee to have it so that when you do your restand play on your following turn 4, well, this deck will pop off the most after you cleared the board with other rear guards and use their effects to get rid of it, then this unit will have additional drive for its next wave of attacks. Pretty standard generic Vanguard. I like it so far. I definitely will be really testing it when it comes out. The only thing about this card is the fact that you have some different routes you can try to go for it. You can play supporting pieces to obviously, you know, make the attack go through. It is going to be locked into 4 attacks for this deck, the 2 Vanguard attacks being the support pieces to make this card focus on getting the 10k power, or you can play pieces that focus on acquiring power in your Vanguard restands. I think we have different route support for that. To me, I think a control route will be pretty good for this deck because you definitely want to guarantee you amassing power onto the Vanguard to make the Vanguard's multiple attack actually matter. That's the route that I'll probably go with this deck. If I can clear the board and then use the effect to acquire power, at least 10k once off of the skill, my Vanguard's attack will actually be relevant prior to any supporting effects or abilities or boosters to make it actually scary against the opponent. But I am happy to see that we'll have a generic 4 attack deck for this card. One thing I do want to add, also this just came into thought, because of how the Vanguard works, and you probably will be using this effect. Oh, you have to use the effect Energy Blast 6 more for this, for the cost this unit's ability. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked if your Energy Blast 6 or more in total for the cost this unit's ability this turn, counter blast 1. Yeah, so you do have to use this unit's effect twice to guarantee you can even get the restand. You won't have the space to play a lot of the other generic energy support despite the Energy Charger 3. So Fall Heart, you don't need that for this deck. Again, you're probably gonna be using Coglifon again. There are no generic energy chargers for Dragon Empire to my knowledge right now, so that doesn't work. In terms of ride line, you can either play the Vigria one or you can play the Bob Sarger one. I think that the Vigria one might be better just because you want to set units up onto the board to be as aggressive as possible with this deck. Bob Sarger's cool or whatnot. That ride line will always be generically good if you want to save pieces for it. That works too. What else can we do with this card off the top of my head? So you can't play Fall Heart. You can save money on that. Play Coglifon instead. The better ride line is going to be the Vigria one because you want to be aggressive with this deck as possible. You want to play the grade 1 unit that lets you draw a card when your Vanguard restands. And then you want to find a way to mass power onto this card when it gets its effect. I said Tencha Stead would be a good card for this deck because Garrett would help guarantee you add more pressure attacks for Persona. The other cards you can go into is you can play the grade 1. If you go a Persona Ride Searching route that gives critical 2 to something that restands, that works. Those are the options off the top of my head right now. There's definitely other things we can look at and talk about this card when it comes out into the future, and we get other supports coming out for the following set of Set 7 or Set 8. That was my quick analysis on new support coming out for Set 8 as well as future support for Cardfight Vanguard Divine Z. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Is there any support that you're super excited for coming out of the next set? And tell me about that in the comment section below, and let's get a discussion going. With that being said, card fighters, y'all enjoy the rest of your week. I'm your host, Prime Vanguard, and I'll catch you later. Peace.